you guys, it's me, Chris Colley. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the city of Rochester Hills, Michigan. It's Wednesday morning, and I am here to share a little bit of creativity with you. Today, I am going to make sure I'm in the right spot here. Bear with me just one short minute. Okay, I am. So today I'm going to share with you the cards we made during my Inspiring SnapDragons class. Each month I have several classes, and this month I did Inspiring SnapDragons, and that was our either free class, or you could just pay for it if you didn't want a free class. So we're going to start off with this gorgeous card. I'm going to share lots of different ways to ink this stamp set. And we'll be using the Inspiring SnapDragons bundle, which has this great, I love all these words in here. Inspired by you, wishing you strength, and so sorry. Plus, these little dragonflies are sort of a little bonus. And there's 3 different Snapdragon sets. This year, I got the most beautiful kind of coral and lemon lolly Snapdragon. It's so pretty. And then it has coordinating dies with it. So we are going to use some of the dies today also. It is a red rubber stamp set. And we are also going to be using the Heartfelt Hexagon stamp set for this sentiment here. And we are using a die from the Unbounded Love stamp set. And I'll show you a little trick with your dies also. So those are all the goodies and stamp sets that we'll be using. I'm going to try and find some place out of the way to put them here. Okay, so for this first one, we're going to be using our largest Snapdragon and also our little dragonfly. Okay, and because this was a class, everybody got a little packet like this that has all of your cards in it. We're going to start with this first one that is Blackberry Bliss. I'm actually going to get that little square piece in there, if I can. There we go. That's the one where we're going to put our little dragonfly. So we want to keep that one out. So this is a missing middle card, and we're just going to fold it in our score line. I think this is 7 inches with 1.5 inches here. And there's a lot of pieces to this card, as you can see. So I'm going to start with our bottom piece, which is the 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then I have just a little piece of Designer Series paper that I'm going to put at the bottom of this. So it's just going to go right here at the very bottom. There we go. And then I'm going to put this whole thing down on my Blackberry Bliss. So it is, my Blackberry Bliss is going to be 4 1/4 by 7, and then it's scored at 5 1/2. So this, when it's finished, will be a regular card size. And then this little piece of Designer Series paper, or Designer Series paper for this one, comes from the gorgeous Zinnia pack of paper. And it is an online exclusive, so you're only going to be able to find it online in my store. We're just going to line this up here. Get it nice and straight. And then this is going to be the bottom part. So like I said, missing middle, so this is going to be the bottom of it. We do have a set of online exclusives that just came out. It was available to our customers beginning July 3rd. And I have an event coming up on Saturday, which I am super excited about. So many times our online exclusives get kind of overlooked. So I'm doing an event with 3 different ones that I'm super excited about. And that's coming up on Saturday. In fact, I have a little sneak peek I'll show you. So this Blackberry Bliss is going to be the piece that's going to coordinate the top and the bottom of your card. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the top and the bottom of these pieces. And I want to make sure this bottom Blackberry piece is all lined up. And, ooh, don't want to do that. And I'm just going to add this piece, like right there. Okay, so that is like our card front. Isn't that cool? Oh, I like that one. Okay, and then this is the piece we're going to stamp on. And we're going to stamp our dragonfly on here. Now, as promised, I am going to do a couple different techniques on how to ink these stamps. So we're going to start off by using our blending brushes. Okay, so I have Boho Blue and Highland Heather. Now, you're always going to start, I always like to start with my lightest color, which is going to be my Highland Heather. So I'm just going to ink up my brush. And I'm using the smaller blending brush. We do blending brushes in 2 sizes. And I'm just going to get a lot of ink on here. And this is the Inspiring SnapDragons is a distinctive stamp set. So it has a lot of texture to it without having to add a lot of extra work. Now you can see I'm being careful not to get ink on this bottom part. I'm going to use that bottom part as a kind of greenery, and so I don't want to get too much ink on it. So you just want to be sure you've loaded it up with lots of Highland Heather ink. And at the same time, I'm going to load up my little dragonfly also. Doing the same thing, just load the whole thing up, okay? And then I am going to add some Boho Blue to these images, just on the edges. So again, I'm just going to ink it up. I've got a little bit of paper in there. There's my, not sure how that happens, but every once in a while I get some fuzzies on my ink pad. So we'll just get those right off there and ink this up. And if this bothers you at the edge of your ink pad, just come in with a little baby wipe, or you could even use your chamois, your Stampin' chamois, and just kind of clean that up a little bit. When you are using your blending brushes, it does tend to get ink on the outside edges there. So you do want to be aware of that. Okay, so I'm just going to take the very tip and just add a little bit of color around the wings on my butterfly, a little bit at the edge of the body and the head. Okay, hoping you can see that there. And then I'm just going to blow on it or huff it to re-moisten the ink that's on there. And just stamp it. And you can see that gives it that kind of blue tip with the purple in the middle. Okay, I'm going to get just a little more ink. And I'm going to do the same thing with my Snapdragon. Just kind of give it a little bit of color on those edges. And I'm trying to stay away from that bottom part down there. And I'm just going to kind of roll my brush a little bit and smooth it on there. And then I'm going to come in with my little baby wipe, and I'm going to get any excess ink that I have gotten down here onto what I wanted to be my little stem. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with my old olive marker. Now you don't want to use your blends on your stamps. You only want to use your marker on your stamps, and it will clean right off. Your blends will stain it, and it will eventually, if you do it enough, eat up your rubber a little bit, put little indentations in it. It's not good for your stamp. So we want to be sure if you're going to color your stamp, you're going to use a marker and not a blend. Okay, let me get this out of the way. And I'm going to, again, huff this, and you can see where it's lighter in the middle and darker on the edges. And you can, of course, come in and get these the ink off of these edges. And that way you won't, when you're stamping, get that little ring around your rubber edge. There we go. And again, just huff it to re-moisten that ink. And you can, no matter how many times you do this, you're going to get a different colored image just by the nature of the blending and how heavy your hand is, that kind of thing. So there we go. You can see all of that great little texture in the stamp and the different colors. And I'm just going to quickly wipe this off with my baby wipe because we're going to use it again. Okay, and we'll set that aside. I'm going to do the same thing with my dragonfly. And your little dragonfly does have a coordinating die with it. So I'm just going to bring in my little stamp and cut and emboss machine here. And you guys all know how much I love this machine. It makes light work. The trick with this die and this image is that the die has these two holes in it. And you want to make sure you can see your ink behind those two holes. And that's going to let you know that you've lined it up. Okay, and then I'm just going to put my Post-it tape on top of it. And I'm going to go my white one and my clear one. And my Post-it tape wasn't sticky, so I'm going to reline that one up. And this one, too, is one that you can easily fancy cut. So the next time I do it, I probably will fancy cut it so you can see how easy it is to do that. But for this one, we're going to do it like this. Again, I always put my hand on the top just to give it a little more stability. There we go. Just going to set that to the side because we are going to be using it again. And you have that pretty little snapdragon there. I also have a sheet. I use just a bookend, aluminum bookend that I put a magnetic sheet on, and it holds my dies. So that's what I use when I'm having classes and things like that, so they don't kind of get misplaced. Okay, so I'm going to take my little dragonfly, put a little adhesive on it, and I'm going to kind of put it right in there. And then this one, I'm actually going to put up on some dimensionals. When we did it in class, I did not put it on dimensionals, but I am going to here. One of the gals at class added some dimensionals to one of the other cards, and I'm going to sneak that little trick too because it looked so nice. Let's get my snips here. These are regular dimensionals, and they're almost all gone. I have a few down here, but I'm going to use the edges for this card. So I'm just going to take these edges right off here, and they're kind of the perfect size for this. And you, again, can use foam adhesive strips if you want to. Those will work. I like to use every single part of my dimensionals, so I'm just going to finish this one off. This one in half, and I think it will work in here, and there. And there we go. All right. So we're going to take the backs off these. We had so many accessories that matched these that I kind of used a different accessory for each one, which is kind of good when I'm not doing a product-based class. I can mix in lots of products from different suites and catalogs. We can use the online catalog. We have a mini catalog that's going to be coming out too. There we go. So this one got some of the Tinsel Gems 3-pack, and you could really use either of these. Let's get them out of here. I used the purple ones, so I think I might use the blue, just because it'll give it a little bit of a different look, and it will help to pick up some of the blues on my the edges of my stamps. I decided I didn't like where that one was, and when I went to move it, my little sticky got stuck on there, so I'm just gonna lift it up and put it here, and put my little gem right on top of it. There we go. Isn't it pretty, you guys? I like it. And here's what it looks like with the purple gems. That one has a little bit of a adhesive on it. There we go. So very pretty card. And that again is inking our stamp set with our blending brushes. Okay. And we will do one with the dies. Let's try that one next, okay? Let me switch up my baskets here. And this one, let's trying to keep myself organized here. And if you know me, you know organization is a constant battle, right? Okay, so we're going to go in and pick up our Pretty in Pink and come forward with it. And I have a little piece of basic white that's going to go on the inside of our card. This card base is 5.5 by 8.5. An 8.5 inch side is scored at 4 1/4. It is Pretty in Pink. I'm just going to fold and burnish on that score line. And then I have some basic white and a piece of Designer Series paper. This paper is from the Unbounded Love pack of paper, which is just gorgeous. It has all of the new in colors in it. I don't know about you guys, but I am hooked on the in colors. They are so, so beautiful. Okay, so this is going to be the pretty inside of our card. Going to add a little bit of Stamp and Seal on my edges and to put it inside. And I find that if I make this inside piece 3 3/4 by 5, that it kind of draws my eye more so than if it's the regular 5 1/4 by 4. So it's just a little bit more eye-catching to me this way. Okay. And then we have a piece of basic white that is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and I have embossed it. And I love this new embossing folder, so it's kind of been one of my go-tos. I just think the design in it is so pretty. And embossing always adds so much texture to your card. I just love it. Okay, so this one, we're going to get that little dragonfly again. And I'm going to do a rock and roll technique with it. So I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is going to be Granny Apple Green. I am going to ink up my whole stamp. And then I am going to just roll the edges onto my garden green stamp set or ink pad. So I'm just going to take my edge ever so slightly and my tail and my head. And just, you can see they all have just kind of like a little dab of that dark green on them. I'm going to huff it and stamp it. And that's going to give you that really nice contrast between the light green and the dark green. Okay, and I do have some Wink of Stella. Well, I'll find her. There she is. And I'm just going to use that on the wings. And that's going to give those wings kind of a little iridescent, shiny look to them, kind of like a real dragonfly has. So I'm going to set this aside. And I am just going to really quickly fancy cut so you can see just how quick and easy it is to cut this out. And then I'm going to show you a little die cutting trick where we can kind of customize the size of a die so it will more easily and compatibly coordinate with our sentiment. And this is really good for making your die cut longer or shorter while you're using it. I'm just gonna really quickly, and we're gonna be using the Unbounded Love die set. And that is gorgeous. It comes in a bundle with the Unbounded Love stamp set to coordinate with it. And then your dies all, the stamp set is, there we go. Your stamp set is all sentiments. And then your dies, just layer them up in so many different layers. Look at all these dies, you guys. So gorgeous. And they're perfect to cut lots of sentiments, including all 25 sentiments in this stamp set. But we're going to actually be taking a sentiment from the Heartfelt Hexagons and using it. And so we'll need to be doing just a few little adjustments with it. I'm going to get my pieces out of the way here. And I'm going to bring it in my sentiment. And I am going to stamp it in pretty in pink. I'm going to stamp it right in the middle there. This is one of my favorite in colors. It's just so soft and so sweet. It's just kind of like a baby girl pink. Okay, so I'm going to take my die cut. And my die cut is a little bit longer on each side than I wanted it to be. I didn't want that much white space between the words and the end of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my same sandwich, but I am going to put my die cut right at the edge of my words. So it's lined up here at the edge of my words. And I'm going to make sure it's nice and straight. And you can see that I'm going to cut it and not cut this piece down here because my paper's gone. But that's okay because we're going to come back in and make it shorter. Okay, so we're actually going to take this die cut and make it shorter in length so that it will fit our words or our sentiment, okay? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this lined up here, and you can see we have that nice little cut there on the end, and I'm going to line it up here, right where I want it, and I'm going to give it about the same distance between the sentiment and the edge as I had there. And I'm just going to get it all lined up. And make sure it's nice and straight. Hold it on there. And put my topper on. There we go. So this is just a really good, easy way to customize the size of your die. We'll put that one back over there. And there we go. So you can see I've got that nice shape for my die cut, but it is shorter than my die cut. So quick and easy way to customize that. Okay, now I have taken some of that designer series paper and die cut it along with my stem, which is granny apple green, and then I die cut the insides of some pretty in pink paper. I did put the pretty in pink on sticky paper, our adhesive paper. So when I take that adhesive paper off, those little spots that are still in there from the die cut should pop right out. Let's see if I can. Sometimes I can get these on where the paper is cut, but sometimes I have to play around a little bit to get it to pop up. And you can see as I'm peeling the adhesive strip off or adhesive paper off, those little pieces that didn't come out of the die cut are popping right out, okay? I have like just a couple still in there, and I'm okay with that. And then I'm going to layer it right on top of my designer series paper. And these die cuts are made to fit one another, so there we go. All right. And I'm going to put this up on some dimensionals and my sentiment up on some dimensionals. Let's see where I put those big ones. Here we go. Here's a big sheet. Okay. So I'm just going to put some dimensionals on my SnapDragon. And again, I'm just going to cut this piece at the bottom and add that to my sentiment. And I think I'll put some little minis on my dragonfly. These mini dimensionals go in all of the tiny little spaces that we need them to, so we can go ahead and pop up little things like our dragonfly. And our little granny apple green piece is already on adhesive strip. So I'm just going to kind of put that right there. I'm going to put my words on. Over here. I'm not going to press those in yet because I want to get that going a little bit before I decide where exactly I want to put my words. So I'm just going to peel the backs off these adhesives or dimensionals, and that's going to go on like that. And then I'm going to put that up just a tad. There we go. And I'm going to put my little dragonfly on there. And we're going to do some ribbon here. I think I'm going to go just right in there with it. Okay, and I have a piece of pretty in pink bordered ribbon. Okay, and I'm going to cut just one edge off, not quite in the middle, but like maybe a third of the way. And we're going to make a nice little bow with it. Doesn't matter if it's even, uneven, you're just going to kind of guess at it. And it's going to look good because you want kind of a shabby chic, free kind of look to it. So I'm going to just trim that up. And I'm going to save this because, again, I can use this same piece for another ribbon. And I'm not even going to worry about fraying it right now. I'm just going to do my little bunny ears. So for those of you who didn't learn to tie your shoes with bunny ears, it's just 2 loops like this. And we're going to take this left loop and put it over the right one and then pull it up in the middle. I need to make my loops just a little bit bigger. And you can see how when I'm doing this, it is starting to fray a little bit. So when I go to pull it tight, it will fray even more in there. Let's see what, there we go. And I'm just going to kind of pull it so it's a smaller bow and will fit at the bottom of my flower. Okay. And then I am going to take my little tails and fray them. I'm just going to kind of pull them away from this edge, that little bordered edge. And you can fray all of them, you can fray just a few of them. I'm just going to fray a few, and that will give me that kind of really soft look right at the edge that I want. So I think I'll pull out about 4 or 5 of them. And that's going to cause this part here to just kind of go out a little bit. And I'm going to pull it all together and trim it up so you have that kind of really pretty little bow. And I'm going to put it on. Get all my hairs out of there. I'm going to put it on with some glue dots. And that's just a quick and easy way, again, to kind of manipulate your ribbon. We have a gal on our team who always is manipulating her ribbon, so Debbie gave her the nickname of Jackifying. Her name is Jackie, so we jackify her ribbons, which just means to alter them and make them look a little bit prettier. Okay, and that fraying is just kind of a little bit of a softer, it gives it a little bit of a softer feel. All right, let's get this out of here, and we're going to use some of the iridescent basic jewels for this one. These are just so, they come in 2 sizes, so you have a medium and then a small one, and they're just so, so pretty. So I am going to use one of these bigger ones, and since I just said Debbie's name, I'm going to bring in my Take Your Pick tool. She always says to me, use your Take Your Pick tool, girl. So I'm going to, girl. I'm going to put that big one right down here at the bottom of our sentiment. And I'm going to put a little one right up here by our dragonfly. And then another little one right over here by our flowers. Okay? So again, these are the iridescent pearls, and they have just a little bit of a shine to them. It changes colors a little bit, which I really like. Okay, so here we have the with sincere sympathy. And we did a little rock and roll technique on our dragonfly with some Wink of Stella. And then we customized the size of our die. We jackified our ribbon. And we added some designer series paper inside. Just a beautiful, beautiful card. Okay, we have one more left, you guys. And we're going to be doing some fun stuff with this one, too. We're going to actually dauber our stamp with this one. Let me just take a quick peek and see if anybody's here that has any questions. If you are here, give me a hi so I know. Hi, Michelle. Thanks. I'm glad you like it. This was a really fun class because I got to go back and bring out some of the different techniques I haven't used for a while. And this distinctive stamp just kind of lends itself to all kinds of different techniques with it. So, okay, we have Moody Mauve for this one. 8.5 by 5.5, 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. We're just gonna fold and burnish. And we have a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 piece of basic white. And it has been embossed, and we're just going to add some adhesive. And I like to use this adhesive all around my card when it's embossed, because you get all those really nice little deep nooks and crannies, and I want to make sure they're sticking down. So I always make sure I have adhesive all the way around it in all of those little nooks and crannies. There we go. And we also have a piece that's going to go on the inside, but I'm going to stamp that. So I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to start with these 3 pieces. That one's going to get my words. So I'm going to start with these 3 pieces. And we're going to be stamping our image on these. Or we're actually going to be stamping them on the other one. And die cutting them to go on these 3 pieces. So I'm going to take my light Moody Mauve blend, and I am going to flick ink onto these pieces of paper. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that your space is really clear, because you're going to get ink all over everything that's on your space. So I am going to take the top, the brush tip of my marker, or my blends, not my marker, my blends, and I'm going to lay it right against the inside cap of my blend. So the cap of my blend, I'm going to put my brush tip in there, and I'm just going to pull it out. And when I pull it out, you can see it's just kind of leaving little droplets of ink all over my card pieces. So what it does is it adds your ink to the top of your blend, which puddles, and then when you push your brush tip around it, it goes out onto your cards. Okay, so I'm also going to take my dauber, and I'm going to add a little bit of color to the edges of all of these pieces, just so that it will add a little bit of dimension and pop it just a little bit, because we're going to put it on that white paper. And so I want it to pop just a little bit, but not enough that I want to add a piece of cardstock behind it. I want just a tiny little bit. So I'm keeping my dauber straight and just kind of pulling it up and down on the edge. And you can get a lot more color with this. Let me grab a piece of scrap paper here. So this is kind of straight up and down. Now if I angle my dauber, I'm going to get color like that. If I angle it further, I'm going to get color like that. So you can control how much color you want on there just by how you're angling your dauber with it. And I just want a little bit of color right around the edge, so I'm just holding mine straight up. And that's going to give me just that little bit of added color to the back of it. also think I'm going to put this on dimensionals so that you'll get to see a little bit of a difference. I did not in my sample. So you'll get to see a little bit of a difference how the dimensionals can change the look of your card a little bit. So this is our last of the 3 pieces. And I love our daubers. I'm so glad it's something that we still have in our catalog because they are perfect. I actually have one for each color of ink because I use them a lot. And they're not only for this, but we're actually, like I said, going to color our stamp with it. And the daubers used to color the distinctive stamps give you a much softer look than if you just ink them. And I'll grab some paper, some scrap paper again, and show you the difference and what I mean by that. Okay, so this piece gets our words, and we're going to do Inspired by You. And there we go. We're going to set all of those pieces aside for now. And we're going to grab our white dimensionals there. And we have pink and we have mauve. And I'm going to get this. Okay, so we are going to, last time we used our blending brushes to ink our stamps. This time we're going to use our daubers. So I'm just going to go in with my dauber. This is the medium stamp. And I'm going to do even the stem of it. I'm going to just dauber the whole thing. And then I'm going to come in with my Moody Mauve. And I'm just going to add some ink right around the edges. And you'll see you can have a lot more control with this than with your blending brush. So I'm going to make my whole little stem with the Moody Mauve. And because you've started with the light color, it's not going to make a difference in your ink pad. So you can go back and grab more ink. Okay? So we have a piece of paper, and again, I'm going to go in and huff it. I'm not going to worry about the ink on the sides because we're going to be die cutting these. And you can, again, die cut or fancy cut, but you can see how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? It gives you such a depth of color to it. And I'm going to actually clean it off. And we're going to go again with it. And I'm going to start off once again with the Pretty in Pink. And I'm not going to re-ink my dauber right now. I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of color. And you can see my dauber still has a lot of ink left on it. That's why I'm not going to re-ink it. Okay. I'm going to huff it and stamp it. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing with our biggest Snapdragon. And we're just going to give it that pink all over. And then come in with our mauve. And just hit it right on the sides. And you can go sides, you can go all the way in, however much ink you want to add to it. We're going to huff it and stamp it. Okay, so you can see how soft that look is in there. And I'm going to just real quickly show you if we did the rock and roll technique that I showed you with the other one, what kind of a difference you're going to get. So let's pull this away right now. And I, of course, don't have a really big piece of scrap paper here. Here we go. This one will work. Okay, so I'm going to ink it all in my Pretty in Pink. This one actually is Bubble Bath. It's not Pretty in Pink. It's Bubble Bath. So I'm using Bubble Bath and Moody Mauve for this one. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way. And then I'm going to take just my edges. I'm left-handed, so I'm actually going to do it this way. And just kind of tip the edges all the way around. Hit the bottom. And then tap the edges. Okay, so this is the rock and roll technique that I showed you with the dragonfly. And let's we'll huff that and do that. Okay, so you're going to be able to see how much softer the look is when we use our, let's see if I can get this really all over myself here. The daubers and the blending brushes are kind of a little bit messier than just regular ink pads. Okay, so you can see, and it's a nice look, and I like it, but this one is just so much softer. It's softer and lighter, and that's kind of how I wanted my dragonflies to look. So that's why I went in and did that. And again, you know, you can use your blending brushes like we did for the first one. You can use the rock and roll technique, or you can do this one with the daubers. It all depends on what kind of a look you're after. Okay, so let's get them die cut. And again, this is a really easy, I'll show you if you wanted to just fancy cut it. It is a really easy one to fancy cut. And I like to leave a little bit of a white edge, especially on this one, because I'm just going to show you how, and then I'm going to die cut it. So we do want this one to look somewhat similar to our die cuts. And our die cuts do leave that nice white edge around them. And that white edge just kind of draws your eye inwards. Inward? I don't know if it's inwards. I don't know. But it draws your eye in. How about that? Towards your stamped image, which is going to be your focal point and where you want your eye to focus. And this one is just, I think this is just one of my favorites with that really soft Bubble Bath and Moody Mauve. If you have our new catalog, you can use your color wheel to kind of pick your color combinations and see which ones are kind of monochromatic or what three colors go together. Your color wheel is something I refer to all the time. Just because sometimes I get stuck in the same colors and I need to branch out a little bit and get a new color into the mix. Especially in the summertime, I tend to go more towards bright, bold colors. And then more in the winter time, I'm in the Regals, which I think are a little bit warmer and cozier. So settles definitely are spring, when things are just turning warm and soft, and all of the flowers are just starting to pop their heads up. And so all of my color families kind of remind me of different seasons, and that's what I tend to craft with during that season. So I need to branch out and use that color wheel and make some cards with different color choices. Okay, so there's one of our little Snapdragons, Fancy Cut. You can see how quick and easy that one was. This one I think we'll be able to do a ride along, but let's see. So we have our medium one here, and we're gonna line this guy right up on it. And these are easy dies to get lined up, so you don't have to spend a lot of time messing around getting them on there. And I think we're going to have to do these one at a time, but that's okay. We can do that. Grab it up here. And we're going to actually use some of my favorite new accessories on this card. And I love the iridescent. And we have so much of the iridescent in this catalog that is so pretty. So I'm going to grab my big die for this one. And get that all lined up. These dies that coordinate with the stamp set just make life so easy, especially for anybody that does not like to fancy cut or color. You could easily color these markers, but I find people either tend to like to color or they like to cut. But I think Stamp It Up does a great job of accommodating everybody, regardless of what part it is you like to do. So there we go. And again, how much time you have to craft. A lot of times when I'm fancy cutting, I'm watching a movie or a sporting event with my husband, and it allows me to share a little bit of time with him and craft at the same time. So okay, so let's bring in our 3 pieces here. And I'm going to put some adhesive on these. And I'm just using regular Stampin' Seal. They're going to go down flat because I am going to lift up these white pieces. And this one is like a really tight fit. And you could, of course, have stamped these right onto these white pieces if you wanted to. Totally up to you. I like that they give it just a little bit of dimension there. Okay, so I'm going to come in and flip these over and just add some dimensionals onto them. And really, some people load up on their dimensionals. Sometimes I do more than others, but I think 3 or 4 on the backs of these small pieces will be plenty to hold them. Come back in there. I grabbed a lot of them that time, didn't I? I'll put that one back because that is a lot to put on one card. There we go. Okay, now let's bring our card base back in. And we are going to put these on here. And again, I'm going to peel my backs off and just kind of set them on there until I decide exactly where I want them to go. And I'm going to start by pushing down my piece in the middle because it is going to be right in the middle of the card. And then we're just going to add a little bit of white space on either side of it, so that you have some white space in between, just like a 1/16 of an inch maybe in between. Okay, so let's start with our big piece, and we're going to put it right in the middle. And again, I'm not going to press it down. I am going to make sure it's straight though. I think that's the middle. And we'll line this one up here. Again, make sure it's straight. Sometimes straight gets me. And this one over here. And make sure it's straight. Okay, now I can see I need to move my middle piece just a tad. There we go. Okay, and let's bring our words in here. And I'm just going to put some adhesive on these. And they're going to go right in here. We're going to make them straight though. There we go. So, isn't that beautiful? I love that really soft kind of, it almost looks fuzzy. And I think my dragonflies are kind of like that. The one color is brighter and then it goes a little bit softer with the light color around the edges. So these are the iridescent faceted gems. If you guys haven't seen these in the new catalog, they are so cool. There's two sizes. You get the medium or the large and the small, and they're really, can you see how sparkly they are? I got a little reminder message popping up there I gotta get rid of so I can see where my camera is. Can you see that? Isn't that pretty? Just love those. So I'm gonna put some of these on there, and I'm gonna do, I kind of like the little in the big look that's really popular right now. So I'm gonna put those on there. See, I'm not channeling Debbie anymore, and I should be, because they work so much better when I use my Take Your Pick tool. So, so you're right, Debbie. I should be using my Take Your Pick tool. Here we go. I'm a tool, not using it. Okay, so there it is. Isn't that gorgeous? So this is the Inspired SnapDragons class. We have this one, and this one, and where did I put the other one? Oh, she's in a box packed away over here already. And then this one. So they all have a really different look and feel to them, but they're all just so pretty. And you guys, I have a little sneak peek for anybody that signed up for the Sophisticated Sled class. It is part of our online exclusive extravaganza happening on Saturday. So this is one of the cards we're going to be making. This is from the Sophisticated Sled class. Isn't it adorable? I love slimline cards. Put a little on the inside, and isn't it so pretty? I just love it. So that's what we're going to do. And that reminded me, we have the inside of this card left here that I that I forgot to stamp on. So we're going to quickly just cover this one. And I'm just going to kind of do it towards the top. And then add just a little around the edges. I forgot to do that inside. There we go. We'll huff it. We'll stamp it. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, let's do the little one. And I'm going to start by cleaning that edge off. And that will hopefully remind me to do that for the other one. That's why I love our Stampin' Up! Paper. We get two sides. That's like an extra chance for everybody, right? Okay, and again, I think that we have enough ink on here that we'll get a nice image. And there we go, much better. I can live with that one, right? And we'll put that right on the inside of this card. And we'll hide up this little mess here. There we go. So we have kind of a fun inside to all these cards. This one has the designer series paper. And then this one has some designer series paper. So 3 really fun cards. And I'm excited for class on Saturday to share these with you. These are some stamps and embossing folder. We did a little bit of the embossing paste down here so you can see. Isn't it fun? And I love the jewels on it. So those of you who signed up for the Sophisticated Sled class on Saturday, here's a little sneak peek for you. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Michelle, I'm glad that you liked my card. I hope you guys are having a good week. There's some sunshine out here today, so that could mean it's going to be a pool afternoon for me, so, or at least a deck afternoon. It's been raining, so I do have some flowers that I need to get out and deadhead and make sure they're not going to root rot from the amount of rain we've had lately. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.